Welcome to NFL World and NFL Searching, and I'm your host Jacob. And up to about an hour ago, what I was gonna talk about, we were gonna do a deep dive on the Steelers in Packers. We were gonna do a new coach in New England, and then we were gonna go from there. And then I get a notification on my phone that the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy are no longer gonna be together. They're gonna be done. McCarthy's on his way out. And you ask, what took so long? What took so long? That's the question. That's the ultimate question. What took so long? It was the weirdest week I think Cowboys fans have imagined in 5 years since the Jason Garrett thing, when they were doing this with Mike McCarthy. They were doing this dance with Mike McCarthy before with Jason Garrett. Remember, they would bring Jason Garrett out to lunch or supper, and then they did that like 2 or 3 times, and then they said, you know what, we don't want to be with this person anymore. It was like they were dating them. And that's what this felt like again. They felt like they dated for a week. They didn't like who this person was, and they said, no, except this date wasn't a week. This date was 5 years and a week. The date with Jason Garrett was almost 10 years in a week. So what did they think they were going to learn in that week that they didn't learn in the 5 to 10 years prior? I don't know. But that is what happened. And, I was trying to figure out the best way to describe this. And I can only come back to this was an interesting. If you want my reasoning of what took so long, was the Commanders and Eagles were in the playoffs. And Cliff Kingsbury, I don't know what kind of ties he has to the Cowboys, but he has ties to the Cowboys somehow. And the Joneses love him. And Kellen Moore, who obviously has ties with the Cowboys as a player and a coach. That's the reason I think it's so. It's the bell, it's the whistle, but it's those guys. Let me tell you, yesterday when both those guys won, the Cowboys had to be like, okay, we have to make a decision now. Who are we? Is it Mike? Are we moving forward with Mike? Oh, we don't. And the answer was they don't. So who could be the coach? Obviously they could interview Kingsbury and Moore now because they moved on and taken off. They could interview Liam Cohen to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dennis Ashley yesterday against the Commanders. They could interview him. They could interview Ben Johnson. They could interview Aaron Glenn. I saw someone say interview Steve Spagnuolo, and I'll say this: I have tons of respect for Steve Spagnuolo. I have tons of respect for Aaron Glenn. I don't see Dallas going to defense. I just don't see it. That's just not the route they're going to go. They want to go tougher. I could see them going in an offensive direction. And I believe Dak has some input here. Not exactly who they will hire, but they'll go to Dak and say, you know what kind of coach do I think? Because we think we might go off. But in case we say we go defense, who do you think we could? And that's kind of what it is. And for Mike McCarthy, he was twisting in the wind, and his staff was twisting in the wind for quite some time now. So at this point, they don't twist no more. At least if they have a job with an organization, or if they don't, now they can go interview stuff. I think Cowboys fans waited for this, and it happened. That's the best way I can put it. They waited for this to happen. It just took a week long for no reason, because the Joneses wanted to kill us. They don't want to make a decision right. And I think that was because what was going on in Philadelphia, and it was. That's my. I got no information on the inside about that. That's just my opinion. Now, before going into a complete deep dive of the Pittsburgh team, I want to start with this. Jimmy Johnson of Fox NFL Sunday said that after the Steelers lost to the Ravens in abysmal. It was abysmal. It was more than embarrassing. It was abysmal. It was a little bit in class. He asked, what are one for one coach swap? Dale in Pittsburgh, it's Dale in Dallas. Make a one-on-one coach swap. Mike Tomlin's in Dallas. Mike McCarthy from Pittsburgh to Pittsburgh. And it's a good question. It's a really good thing to think about. Here's the reason that no one would do. Number one, Mike Tomlin is coming back. There was a report that said Tomlin's coming back next year. The Steelers have no interest in him. That's number one. Number two, Tomlin's record on regular season. That's exactly what McCarthy does as well. So there's no leverage there. Number three, Mike Tomlin has not won a playoff game in 8 years. He's 0-6 the last 6 times they've been in the playoffs. You have to go back to 2016 when they played the Cincinnati Bengals with Marvin Lewis and the Vontaze Burfict hit on Antonio Brown. And they still barely won that game. That game, the quarterback was not Andy Dalton. The quarterback was A.J. McCarthy. It was a career backup, and they still suck. That's what that is. That's how embarrassing that is. Everyone is aware of it. Everyone, what's not because Mike McCarthy and Mike Tomlin are not. They're good coaches. Are they good enough to coach the team? The answer is no. Then what are they still doing? And if the answer is we want to hire this coach, we want to trade for this coach, is he better than what we have? And if the answer is no, again, why make that choice? It was a good question. I do for things. I don't agree with going that direction, so I don't think they've been that great if it was happening. And it looked like they quit, which brings me into the deep dive of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The deep dive of the Pittsburgh Steelers before we jump into the deep dive of the Green Bay Packers. And we're probably going to do a series on this right around the end of the season. We'll probably do this where we're going to do a deep dive into a division. Let's say a deep dive into the AFC North, a deep dive in the NFC North, the AFC East, the NFC, all the way. And let me know if you would like to watch. Now, those probably all be streams. We'll fix the streams by hopefully next week. We can go back and do a normal streaming schedule. Back to the deep dive of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Prior to the game against the Ravens, the Steelers lost 4 in a row. And they were struggling immensely. They started the year, they were 3-0. Justin Fields was the point. They go to 3-1. They make the change to Russell Wilson, but now Russell Wilson's healthy. They had some success with Russell Wilson. There was some good moments. Definitely some good moments. Then there was a little bit of a struggle. And it looked like it got back on the horse and just done going. And then they say, oh, they lost that game. And they lose 3 more in a row. Okay, third before. Yeah. They lose 3 well. They finish the they lose 3 more and they go 0-4. End of the season. And apparently Russell Wilson goes to Tim Hayward. Tim Hayward's been around forever. 35 years old. He's been a career Pittsburgh Steelers. And he said, hey, get it out of your mind that we've lost 4 games in a row. Let's go win the next. We talk about the playoffs. And then you play the Ravens. And the defense looked like they had no pride. They had no willingness. The Ravens were just out beating them, out clawing them, out fighting them on a repeat level. In the case of the Mike Tomlin, because he never quit like that. And I think you have to look at everyone from the top down. This is the most expensive defense in the league. Their run defense is awful. Their pass defense is not great. And I just really think on total, they're just not that good. And then on offense, it's not a whole of a lot better. is actually worse sometimes. They are terrible at throwing the ball. Besides the moon balls that they throw George Pickens' way or Mike Williams' way, they can't do anything. They can't move the ball. And I was thinking about that because we were talking about the Eagles and we talked about the Steelers like this before. It's like they struggle sometimes. The offense just doesn't move well. And that's what I was looking at. This team isn't very good. If they can barely hit the ball. They were down 21-0. It was the first time in Mike Tomlin's postseason career that his team was scoreless in a half. Insane. That's really insane. That means they were not just bad. They were historically bad. Then they get it back together, they hit a couple moon balls, gave them touchdowns, but there was nothing there. There was 1, 2. They couldn't run the ball particularly well. And then you look at it and say, well, Arthur Smith was a corner. And then it goes, this outcome could have been easily precedented, or easily looked at and said, yeah, prior to the game, prior to the season. When you're going to say, yeah, not the best choice. And I'm going wait. When Matt LaFleur was the OC of the Tennessee, they were 22nd in total. That's that. Really. He got that job. Then Arthur Smith became the OC. The offense got a little better. The offense went like 22nd straight. And then on the pack at like 50. Okay. Not bad. He got the Falcons. While he was with the Falcons, they had a ground game. I'm not going to say it was a good game. And because of all the Matt Ryan, all the Julio Jones, the guys who didn't want to be there, and Calvin Ridley, it was easy. You couldn't run the ball, and it put a lot of pressure on your older, aging quarterback and older, aging wide receiver. Like I said, they couldn't run the ball, really. And they go, last year, they draft Bijan Robinson. They have Tyler Algier. They create a ground game. They brought Kyle Pitts in the previous draft. They brought in Drake London from another previous draft. They weren't using Drake London. So you had a great tight end for the first time in Atlanta since Tony Gonzalez. You had a great receiver since the time of Julio Jones. And you can't figure out how to use them. I'm not talking like they're the greatest in history. I'm talking about like the best tight end and receiver they have on their roster since those two guys. Because after those guys, there was nothing to compare to. And you never used them. Some leagues. They couldn't go, you had Bijan who was making plays, but then you went for some. You would start Tyler Algier or Cordell Patterson, whatever. And then you go to Pittsburgh. You have Najee Harris. You have Jalen Ward. You bring over Cordell Patterson. But you have guys like George Pickens. You end up trading for Mike Williams in the season. The offensive line needs to work. You were making strides in that department via the draft. This team, offensively, sort of did more for us, and they won. They won. The problem. It falls on Smith. It falls on Tom. Who else does it fall? Russell Wilson. Russ didn't play well in that spot. There was times Russ played like a Super Bowl team. And then there was times, excuse me, there was times that Russ played like he was a, and that can't happen to a guy who's been in the NFL. He shouldn't be making the mistakes that he was making on the regular. And at least say, okay, the last time I threw this ball, it was too far in. Maybe if I get that covered again and I choose to throw it to the outside, or throw it deep, so like I can run underneath it, or throw it behind him a little so he can make an adjustment on it. Trump wouldn't do that. He just throw it in the same spot. It's not like a receiver drops the ball. It's hit him in the hands and it drops it. It's not like it. This ball was in the same exact spot where it got picked last, and it either was picked again or almost. That's the problem. There's too much of it. There's too much of I have to put everything on my shoulders, and then I make it better. My guy has to adjust on the fly when he's not in great position. That's the thing I can do for this. Where Jordan Love did it too. When he's throwing the ball on the back shoulder for no reason of the corner. Or the front shoulder of the corner when his wide receiver who isn't open, if you throw it to the outside, you give your guy a chance. You make that defender have to play through the receiver. It's less likely to be picked if he's throwing it to the inside. Wow, that's what does the exact same thing. You make it too easy on the corner. Because either he's just going to pick it off or he'll drop it. That easy. Again, this all goes back under the umbrella of Mike Tomlin, how his defensive coordinators have failed, his offensive coordinators have failed, his quarterbacks have failed, and they have distractions. George Pickens doesn't play well. He's bursting at fans. He's doing all kinds of weird things that we can't play. Why? Now, to do a deep dive on the Packers, we have to go a little. Remember when I said Matt LaFleur was the coordinator of the Titans that had a 20-second tank off? He got the job in Green Bay. He had Aaron Rodgers. No doubt Aaron had some position in bringing in a guy like Matt LaFleur. Absolutely. There was something there. Who knows exactly what, but there was something. And Matt LaFleur is good. He's really good. And Aaron left. And Jordan Love became. And Jordan didn't start great. He then found his rhythm and then had a great second half of the season last year. This year, started up the same way. He didn't play the start. Found his rhythm midway through the year. Here's the issue. In the game of the playoffs, Matt LaFleur's coaching. Speaking, you question his play because what is he doing? In the game against San Francisco, they have to get the ball deeper down the field. In the end, they took some shot. They didn't really try to get off the corner. And they lost that game because Jordan Love took the ball back to the nose. It's not a great call to do. And it's a young player who just lacks experience. It's fun. That's really what it is. And that's what we all seen. This game against the Eagles was so bad. First of all, let's go with the offense. Let's get the offense out of it. Let's just go deep. If you told me this defense would hold the Philadelphia Eagles to 22 points, the Eagles would only get 100 yards rushing in the fourth quarter. That's late in the fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts would have under 100 yards passing for the majority of the game and only complete 6 passes. I would have said they won. They won somehow. Somehow the Packers won. They won that game 24-22, 28-20. And you said no, they didn't. I'd be shocked. I really would be. Because the quarterback had 39 yards pass. The running game only had 100 yards in the fourth quarter. So it means they were not really doing that. And the Eagles only scored 22 points. How did they not win? Well, it looks like when you stop the Packers' ground game and they can't stretch the field the way they want. No Christian Watson in this game. They lost a lot of players in this game. They lost the right guard on first or second drive of the game. They actually fumbled on the kickoff, which we'll get into in a little bit. They leave the right guard, and then they put in another guard. He was getting beat so badly that they benched him put in another guard who wasn't getting beat so badly, still getting beat. The left guard goes down. They put in another left guard. The center goes down late in the game, has to put in an air test and cut it off the field. They end up losing two wide receivers in Dobbs and Reed, two big injuries. Jacobs gets a little mixed up. He was the only one who could do anything. Josh Jacobs. There was a lot going on. It was a game destiny to the point that the Packers only had 3 available wide receivers. That's crazy to think about. They didn't get Tucker Craft that involved. The only thing they could really do was late in the fourth quarter. Josh Jacobs early in the fourth, late in the third quarter, and early in the fourth quarter. Josh Jacobs became like Superman. It was running through like 5 different in nearly 4. And then it ended up going on that. That's what happened. That's the reason the game was. Excuse me. You can't blame this game because there's so many things there. Let's go to the turnovers, in which there were 4. First play of the game. Let's kick off for the half of the game. It's getting the kickoff. They run. Their kicker takes a big hit, fumbles the ball, recovered by the Eagles, then score on a short field. Nothing you can do. You wouldn't likely to stop. That's what it was. You wouldn't likely to stop. So they get it. They run. They get the ball back on the kick return. So that was the one. Jordan Love throws a boneheaded catch to Darius Slay. Why? I don't know. The receiver wasn't even really that close to the receiver. The receiver would have had to turn and get it wouldn't happen. It was such a bad decision and bad throw. There's that. Then there's the one to Vaughn. Well, no, he just doesn't see it. So those are 2. The last one, look, you're down in a game. They're just going to happen. He fires it deep with a clean Eagles player. The rookie Quinyon Mitchell comes to make the play, intercepts the ball, and that's the 4th of it. 3 interceptions from Love without. But 4 turnovers is what lost. The Eagles couldn't really move the ball either. The 4 turnovers cost you the game. And the play call. How does this fall back to that before? So a lot of that seems like positive. It's spring. 6 minutes left. Packers have to go make something of it. And they're huddling. On that point, I think they were down now. They're huddling up. I understand you have a lot of backup play, but the time is running. They went 15 yards in 2 minutes. We've never seen that happen. They went 15 yards in 2 minutes and failed the 4th down. And the 4th down, that's bad. It's all coaching. And I understand there's all the backups. He's trying to get them all on the same page. But to be huddling up at that point of the game when you have to be going, you have to be moving, and you aren't, not happen. Seriously, cannot happen. Turnovers, that is on the defense looking for spot. That's on the defense playing, that's on that. The bad play calling. They've been the out route so many times that the Eagles were not afraid. They knew what they were going to do. Then to huddle up to try to get these plays in where the clock is running. This is guy coaching all that. Matt falls on the floor. Okay, when to finish up here, the New England Patriots strike quickly. They strike quickly with hiring a new coach. It's a familiar name. It was almost overwhelmingly the favored person for this job. Like Mayo, the label gets hired. But I'm thinking, and then I said, well, label met with Patriots. Surely they talked about time. We said this last week. The reason the Patriots even interviewed Pep Hamilton and Byron Leftwich were not because they didn't get the job. They were having to satisfy the Rooney. And bringing them in satisfied the Rooney. That's why. Why they did. There was no other reason to do it other than He satisfied the Rooney Rule. That was it. That was all it was. Satisfy the Rooney. What they did. Vrabel was interviewed the day after. There was a reason for it. And just like we all expected, Saturday getting a notification. The Patriots and Vrabel, when they were talking on Thursday, started working on a contract. Started having contact. And Sunday, around, what day it was 10 o'clock maybe, they started pushing heavily to this goal. It didn't take that long, maybe about an hour. I get a notification. Mike Vrabel is the new head coach of the New England Patriots. You knew this was going to happen. He was the overwhelmingly favorite. You knew it. You felt it. You didn't expect anything else. It was that simple. He was the man. A former player, 3-time Super Bowl champion as a player for this team. You knew it. Gerard Mayo was the guy before. We said this here, say it quickly. Belichick had in his contract that there would be a successor on, his successor would be on the coach. Once Daniels left, knowing that would have been Josh. Since the successor had to be on his staff, it left Bill O'Brien, who wasn't very good as the coordinator, Gerard Mayo, or Steve Jones. That's who it was. They took Gerard Mayo. It didn't work. It didn't take them long to make a decision on Mayo. They fired him 1 hour after they could. They were moving towards getting Mike Vrabel. There's no racism here. There's no nothing here. This was made because the Belichick contract said that his successor was on the staff. And Vrabel wasn't on the staff. Nick Daniels wasn't on the staff. They would stop picking and choosing people on the staff. They're going to do Steve Jones. What are they going to do? Bill O'Brien. Maybe, but not likely. Mayo, if he failed and we got rid of him, wouldn't be a big deal. They brought in Gerard Mayo. That's what they did. It didn't work. They got rid of him. They bring in Vrabel, who I said before didn't deserve to be fired. And you can take it all the way to the bank. That is the fact. What? For NFL world, I am JKT, but now that's because I forgot that we have this later game. This is how bad I am when we get to this point of the season. I'm adjusting myself. So let's go get this stuff too. Real quick. So we have the scores. We'll do the scores really quick. This is how I forget what I can do. Okay? Let's see. Right. Excluding the Vikings-Rams game, Bills beat Broncos was not present, 31-7. Eagles beat Packers 22-10. We said that. Commanders beat Bucks on the last second field goal 22-20. Late game turnover by the Bucks. Commanders go to make a field goal. First Buccaneers playoff win since 2005 when they beat the Buccaneers. Houston wins an upset game against the Chargers 32-12. Very surprising. Chargers just, they were not. It was like they were there, but mentally not. And the Ravens beating the Steelers 28-14. We will have an entire slate of what the games will look like in the divisional round on Wednesday. So right now, NFL World, we are out.